picture. I don't need no video. I don't need no shit right now. I don't need no picture. I don't need no video. I don't need no shit right now. I don't need no picture. I don't need no video. I don't need no shit right now.
Hello everyone, my name is Ndeya. You know the name is so nice, you just gotta say it twice. Ndeya. And this is 100 films from my childhood. Interesting, right? Do you remember any films from your childhood? Exactly my point. I just want to go into this journey where I just want to reminisce, so I just want to feel nostalgic and talk about films that I watched as a child. So pretty much 100 films from my childhood, you know, it's just a bunch of list of films that I watched as a kid. This is pretty much films that I watched between the ages of 0 to 18, you know. And because post 18 years, I think I was starting to becoming conscious of my artistic career, or my artistic blood, or whatever you want to call it. And I pretty much was kind of finding my way into filmmaking myself. So I'm not gonna talk about films post 18-year-old because it just gets too serious. I just want to roll back, you know, into memory lane and think about what is the very first film that I watched in my life. Do I even remember? I'm not sure. I'm probably gonna have to name drop a couple of titles to be specific, you know, to actually it's gonna have to be a couple of titles for me to actually figure out which one was my first film that I watched in my life, because I can't recall. There's many films that I think I watched when I was young, and I can't really pick which one was first. I'll be lying. I'd honestly be lying. But anyway, the film for this video that we will be talking about, it's a film called Inyakanyaka. I'm sure you probably heard of this title, Inyakanyaka, starring Ndaba Mhlongo, the famous Ndaba Mhlongo. Ndaba Mhlongo, obviously, you know him as Somizi's father, was married to Mary Twala, one of the most formidable and great, you know, artists and actors that this country has ever seen. And Ndaba Mhlongo, you know, her partner was pretty much the same, one of the great actors this country has ever had. You know, the film Inyakanyaka, it also starred a guy by the name of I hope it comes to me right now, Usdodla. It's played by is it Mbonjeni? I think Mbonjeni is his surname. Bingo, yes, Bingo Mbonjeni. You know, the guy who plays Usdodla. And Lucky Boy, I forgot Lucky Boy's surname, which is actually the shotman in Inyakanyaka, played, what's the character name? Ngunyani. So yeah, Inyakanyaka is a story about these two, can I call them clouds? You know, this stuttering, speaking Shefane and his best friend, Usdodla, obviously. And they work for this, I can call it a communications company, where that does comic magazines, you know, and which is adds, you know, to their clowniness, because you would, when you watch the movie, you'd actually swear that they're actually living like in a comic book, you know, or their life is pretty much comedy. You know, it's not just comic in terms of the, you know, graphics of a comic book, but it's really comic in the sense of comedy, you know. So it's one of the very first few films that I can recall from childhood that I watched, you know. And the most outstanding thing about the film, it has to be, you know, not just the two, Stodla and Shefane, but I think, you know, Shefane has pretty much more of the shine and the limelight when it comes to that film, and it's the, you know, the person that most people can remember him from. And I think the stuttering is what made him stand out more than anything else. If I can recall, I've never seen any actor stutter, you know, and somebody who's stuttering being an actor, or somebody acting as a person who stutters. He was the first that I've seen on television, and I think I haven't seen anybody else ever since, and he did it so pretty well, Undaba Mhlongo, to a point that, well, the first time I saw him obviously was on Inyakanyaka and I think Ngaka, and many other films which I pretty much watched later in life. But the way he was so perfectly stuttering in the character of Umshefane, I so believe that this man was actually born like that. He spoke like that, and only to discover years later when I was now, a bit grown up and stuff, and then I got to learn that actually the man was not a starter, biologically. It was, a character trait that he had came out with, particularly for that character. And some of the nostalgic, moments I have about that particular film is, I think, my late primary school. I mean, the film was released when? I'm not sure, but I think the film was made in the late 80s. Late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to lie, but I think the film was made around that time. And obviously, I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born, obviously, in the late 80s. Being specific, the last year of the 80s, going into the 90s. I was born when Mandela was coming out of prison. And obviously, I only watched that film, I think, during my primary school period. And the nostalgic moments I have about this film, is conversations we used to have with friends and how we used to laugh at the scenes that took place in the movie, particularly during my primary school and early high school days. I used to have a friend called Tulani and a friend called John, early high school days, like standard 6 vibes. And we clicked when it comes to Inyakanyaka. We knew like scene by scene, we knew it like back to back. We used to know the dialogues. I've forgotten most of the scenes and most of the dialogues, but at the time they used to be like in my tongue. I remember one of the favorite scenes we liked talking and joking and laughing about was a scene where Mshefane, all the traveling with this panel van, they're actually delivering these comic magazines in different stores, and they're traveling to eThekwini in Durban. And there's a point where they make a stop, and Mshefane wants to take a shit, and they make a stop, and then he goes into this company, and then he finds a security guard by the gate, and he's asking this guy, and he's like, baba, and this stupid security guy, Manchingelanda, busy rolling his joint there, and he's on some uzobasha benze nabafana. It just used to be the most hilarious thing, from the movie. And I think Chef Brandon's response from that was something like, I'm funny, and this man, basically, to wrap it up, because I don't remember most of the lines, this guy refuses that he goes to the toilet, and he ends up shitting himself, and he needs to go back now to the panel van, where he's sitting, in the passenger seat with the driver and his foreman, and he gets inside the car, and then the other two are on some, and Shefan is on some, trying to act like he doesn't know what's going on, and he goes and he says something like, how was it? Who banana, noma, who kabishi, noma, injafil. And and it's so obvious he shit himself, and the other guys can't stand it, and they have to drive a long drive with him. He was one of the funny scenes that I remember from the movie. What else? I kind of forgot most of the pictures, and I just want to talk about the moments and the scenes that have sticked with me over the years without having to actually just go back to them. But I just wanna reminisce and remember the little piece of business and try to stick them together and just try to formulate some sense of some sort from that film. But if you've watched Inyakanyaka, I think pretty much any South African that's I don't know, born in the 80s and the 90s, 70s. I don't know if the 2000s have watched Inyakanyaka. I don't know. Maybe we should just do some survey on that. But look, I think you can find the film on platform. I think it should be on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Inyakanyaka is one of the the most hilarious movies that ever came out of this country, and it was fun to watch. These are retro films that one could actually just go back to, and just find humor and entertainment in them. I think it's gonna be funny the same way, even if I had to watch the movie again. I think it'll crack me the same way like it did as a child. And I mean, it was a talk. It was a talking. What do you call it? Islung bafetu. It was it was a subject to talk about, in school. It was something to laugh about, the scenes. Like, it was really, really, really hilarious. And this is a time where, South African cinema and South African television was still growing. Black people were starting to get into the TV spaces and whatnot, and people like Ndaba Mhlongo, people like, Bingo, with some of the stars, that of that time that were coming up and all that. I remember there's a scene actually of Ngungunyane. I think there's a point they get to the beach and stuff, and Ngungunyane goes for a swim. And after I see, he he lies like on the sand, and of course his skin dries up and all that. And Usdudla is acting like Ungungunyane is a sort of some laundry to him or some sort, because Mshefane comes through and then he splashes water on him, and does he splash water on him, or he just actually picks him up because he's shot, and he picks him up and throws him in the water, and Usdudla comes back crying his own son. Oh man, Cecile, yabona manje bengizomwamisa implaza. Actually, I think it was vice versa. I think I think Umshefana is the one who was actually making laundry out of Ungungunyani, and yeah, it's just funny. But pretty much it's a story about these two funny guys who work for a comics magazine, and they deliver these magazines and whatnot, and they always find themselves at loggerheads with their foreman, which is Ungungunyane, and they play with him because he's really someone with Down syndrome. He's short, so they play with him, they make jokes about him, they make, they don't have that respect one you would give to your foreman or to your manager and what, and that's where the humor is. It's a movie I'd suggest for you to go watch. If you haven't, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Don't be fooled. Maybe my narratives might not be tying together on this one, but I'm trying my best to remember what I can from it. And yeah, Inyakanyaka, wasuza, what you boo, a boo. That was actually a song that Stola and Mshefane actually composed, and they used to sing it for Ungungunyane. One of the funniest scenes, they get to a hotel, and Ungungunyane wants to call their boss and tell them where they are and how things are going. Stola had fallen out of the panel van, and apparently he was in a hospital, and they had to leave him behind. And now Ngungunyane obviously wants to inform his boss, and he gets into this hotel, gets to the reception, and asks for a phone call. And now there's like the table is like this, like the reception desk. It's like this, and Ngungunyane is like can only reach up into this height, And now the phone is on top, and he takes this phone and he goes like, and he keeps on jumping. Hello. Hilarious. And just to add on that, Mshefana walks into that scene, and then he's like, those old phones that have like the speaker where you speak is here, and the top part is where you listen. And then Mshefana gets there, and then he snatches the phone, and he's like, "Wena who krumala mina krumengapa." And I'm like, where is the sense in that? You know, because you have to use this other part of the phone device to speak and the other one to actually hear what the other person is saying. But I mean, that's part of the comedy, you know, in the movie. And yeah, man, go check it out. The film is called Inyakanyaka. Search it on YouTube, search it on the internet. I'm sure you'll bump into it. And if you don't find it there, I mean, go to South African archives, where they archive South African movies and so forth. But sure, if you can just Google it, you know, if you can Google it, you'll sure find it somewhere in the internet. One of the best movies to come out of this country that I've ever seen, you know, as far as comedy is concerned. And yeah, it's one of the films that entertained me as a kid, and I loved it. I loved it to bits. And sure, I'm gonna go look for it and watch it. Maybe I'll come back and tell you more about it. But yeah, sure. Inyakanyaka. 100 films from my childhood and 99 to go. This is the first episode. Thank you guys for checking out. Remember to click the notification bell so that you can get notifications for every video that I put up. And remember to like this video and subscribe to make sure that, you know, we grow this channel and grow this platform. See you again on episode 2 of 100 Films from My Childhood. This is Ndia. You know the name is so nice. You gotta say it twice. Ndia, Ndia. Peace out.
Podcast music. I don't need no picture, I don't need no video, I don't need no shit right now. I don't need no picture, I don't need no video, I don't need no shit right now.